Hey you watching this video right now, we gotta talk about something that YouTube just did like yesterday. Yesterday I got an email about one of my channels that I haven't cared about in a long time, but it means something for smaller creators. See, YouTube just recently announced that as of February the 20th, I believe, could be wrong, because I'm trying to do this free blah, 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 blah. Yesterday, as of when I'm recording this video, YouTube announced major changes to their partner program. I got notified about this because of a channel that I own that I haven't given a care about in years. However, this disproportionately affects smaller YouTubers. As far as me, I should be fine. However, I am worried about many of my friends here in the space. Now, there are a lot of creators like, for instance, Filipino, that have already covered this, so I'm not going to go into major detail on this, and I will link down there to a playlist with 3 or 4 videos in it where you can catch up on all of the stuffs. Bare bones, this change means that in order to join the YouTube Partner Program, which is what allows creators to make money here on the platform, you'll now need 1,000 subscribers and a buttload of watch time here on the platform before you will be able to join the YouTube Partner Program. Now, when I say a buttload, that's not exactly an official measurement. The way that it works out is I believe it's 4,000 hours of watch time in the course of 12 months. Some people who have seen this have erroneously gone to believe that this means you have to have 4,000 hours of content uploaded to your channel. That is not the case. You need to accumulate several hours of watch time on your channel entirely. Which means if you've got one video that does extremely well, you can get 4,000 hours of watch time on that one video. However, for smaller YouTubers, that is not likely, because a lot of times with smaller YouTubers, as they're figuring things out, their watch time isn't that great. According to YouTube, this affects channels mostly who earn $100 a year or less. That can mean for smaller YouTubers, it's a lot harder to pay back that initial investment of a camera, of editing software, of things like that. Now, I get that, and I need to sort of say that later on in this video, I'm going to be talking about something, and I'm not talking to your average creator. Another point that many people have brought up is that in order to cash out on YouTube AdSense or Google AdSense, which is, again, where that money goes before a YouTuber gets paid out, you need to accumulate $100 US of revenue. The big problem with this is that means that a lot of creators who are being kicked out of AdSense now they may never reach that. So they may never get that payout until much later in their career. So does that mean that Google keeps that money? What does that mean? We don't know. There has not been an explanation on this. So with that being the case, a lot of YouTubers are going mental, and they don't, they don't know where they stand. Because not only is YouTube, rather than sort of grandfathering those channels in and allowing them to stay in because that was what they signed up, YouTube has essentially changed the game. And that's, as far as those YouTubers go, not ideal. Oh, but here's the problem. Now, I have a little bit of interesting insight in this because it was part of my job at my previous employer to find bad actors, to kick them out of the network, and to make sure that it's harder for them to get into the network. For those of you who don't know, one of the big benefits of joining a network is the fact that you get paid every month, not just when you hit that $100 threshold. As far as creators in a network, yes, you will still get paid up until you get kicked out of the program on the 20th. However, for those on AdSense, we don't know. It's a giant question mark. So now I need to talk about what YouTube is trying to do here. What YouTube is trying to do here is trying to make sure that it's much harder for bad actors, as they say, to game the system. For them to start up a ton of tiny channels and to profit big and sort of play the field. You start 10 channels with roughly the same content, top 10 channels, or some really weird stuff that I've seen over the years, and you sort of hedge your bets on which ones are going to hit it big. Let's be real here. A lot of these channels are spam. As far as the channel, the bad actors versus the good actors. Now, again, this is coming from someone whose job it was to identify these, remove them from a YouTube network, and of course, also someone who at one point their job was to train people on how to spot them before they come into a network, and someone who has seen a lot of these channels. The way that this is split is about 90-10. 10% of the people who are upset and who are affected by this are probably good channels. However, about 90% are not. These are really weird channels who try to get through the system with education as their motif. I've seen all kinds of channels. Everything from the really, really weird stuff like trying to, in an educational way, show you how to shave lady parts. And then some channels who just upload random crap. Now, when I say random crap, I'm not talking about home movies. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about squares moving across a screen. I'm talking about re-uploading stuff from TV. I'm talking about channels that clone entire other YouTube channels. I'm talking about channels that just film women's feet. I'm talking about channels that just show security footage regardless of whether someone really wants to see it or not. I'm talking about channels that have either A, really weird freaking value propositions, or B, none at all. No value proposition whatsoever. The truth of the matter is there are people starting up all kinds of really weird, really strange, really not appropriate things on YouTube. They're uploading God knows what. And YouTube has to correct that. How do they correct that? They make it harder for the people who are just throwing noodles at the wall, or throwing something at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's what they're doing here. Of course, among other things, that's what they're doing here. Unfortunately, that is making things a lot harder for the 10% of us who are doing things right and trying to grind and trying to move. However, I say it makes it harder. However, I have this sort of hopeful aspect of myself who maybe thinks it might make it easier for the rest of us. And let me explain how. When it comes to YouTube, there is a lot of spam, and I see it even in my sort of home feed on my YouTube app all the time. These are channels who are uploading things that they have no business uploading. They don't own the rights to. And sometimes it's channels uploading the entire, let's say, the Jimmy Kimmel monologue for a certain date or whatever. Now, that is taking away watch time from the original source. Imagine a world where it's a lot harder to sort of throw that crap at the wall and actual creators are being seen. Do I think that this is going to work? The way that I sort of see this is, as soon as you build a better mousetrap, a better mouse will come along. And unfortunately, I think this is a temporary stopgap that's just going to hurt smaller creators in the short term. However, there may be that correction there that has actual creators rising to the top and some of this spammy bullcrap not performing as well, because if there's no paycheck in it, maybe some people will stop. Unfortunately, that means that some legitimate creators will stop as well. For a long time on YouTube, with various channels that I've run over the years, I have been on this platform since 2006, and I don't think that I am going to stop anytime soon. And in that time, I have seen all kinds of craziness. But one thing that's been here since the beginning are spam channels. Channels uploading stuff that they have no business uploading, and it sort of makes sense for YouTube to try to put the brakes on that and to stop those channels from operating. Unfortunately, that means that channels like myself, on many channels, I have started a new channel, and of course, it's not profitable for a long time, but you make pennies, then you make dollars, then you make more and more and more. And that's sort of the... Sometimes you start a channel, you buy yourself a GoPro, you buy yourself a monitor, you buy something like that, and you need to be able to make that back. And yeah, you know what? Sometimes you make it back in small amounts. But now with this new change, that means that it's going to, rather than a trickle slowly, and then you being able to say, oh my God, yeah, I only made $8 a month, but this year I made $100. It's going to get to a point where people essentially, you reach a certain point and then boom, there's an entire fire hose of money. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. A lot of people are blaming Logan Paul for this. However, that is an entirely distinct issue. That Logan Paul thing, that has to do with Google Premiere. I may be wrong on that terminology, but it's essentially the higher tier of YouTube. And of course, there's also now talk of when a creator comes into the new program, there's going to be people looking through and making sure that those channels coming in do adhere to YouTube's policies, which is amazing. I really wish we would have had that from the beginning. Unfortunately, YouTube, they had that in the very beginning when there was only a handful of creators making money on the platform. And then at one point, they're just like, boom, everybody or anybody can join. And now, this is actually several years later, they are correcting this, and some people are calling it an overcorrection. Those people calling it an overcorrection, they haven't seen what I've seen. There are, again, just to stress what I said earlier, tons and tons and tons of channels not doing what they're supposed to. And I understand what YouTube's trying to accomplish. I don't think this is the right way to do it. And to be honest, I don't know if this is the right way to fix it. I don't have a better solution. And that's a lot of the people tearing YouTube a new one right now. They also don't have the answers. And don't get me wrong, not having the proper answers is not necessarily just because you don't have the proper answers doesn't mean you can't point out that the current solution isn't perfect. But I will say, as far as the conversation goes between us and YouTube, it would be really, really nice if YouTube gave us a way to sort of give them ideas and sort of, talk about it. And the only way that's going to happen is if we start helping YouTube by giving them possible solutions. And again, part of the issue there, going back to what I said earlier, is a lot of people, a lot of creators, they have no idea the size, the breadth, the huge problem that is on YouTube. And I'm very lucky because of my previous work experience, because I have seen a lot of these channels, these spammy channels, trying to get into a YouTube network, trying to, game the system, trying to, do whatever. I understand the size and the scope of this problem. Something said by Boogie2988 in his video, you can, as a creator, supplement and you can sort of diversify your income by doing things like Patreon, which I've recently done. You can do things like selling merchandise, etc. And I think these are amazing things that creators should do. However, I also sort of say that when you do that, if you really love a big creator, do that for them. However, if you really, really like a smaller creator, do it for them first. Support them. Buy a shirt. Support them on Patreon or, whatever other platforms it is that they are on. Even as something as silly, if you don't have money to support, retweet them on Twitter. Like the videos, comment down below, get their engagement up, because right now, those smaller creators, the ones who are really trying, that 10%, they need it now more than ever. So, please, my viewers, the people watching this video, go out there, support a smaller creator. And when I say a smaller creator, I'm talking about someone under 1,000 subscribers. I'm talking about maybe even somebody under 1,500, because they might not have the watch time. Because a lot of channels who might have 1,000 subscribers, they may not have the watch time. So, if you're watching a video, maybe put it on the 2x speed so that you actually end up watching more of the video before you get bored. And that's something you could do on mobile. That's something you could do on desktop. And that's something I've been using this entire video. Because Philip DeFranco, he talked about this. Boogie2988, he talked about this. Creator Insider, they talked about this. And I'm going to leave a link down there to the Creator Insider channel, specifically to the video where they talk about this, because I know that Google staff, maybe not the right Google staff, but some Google/YouTube staff does look at those comments. They do care, but I just don't know if the people looking are the people who can help. So it doesn't hurt if you've got real criticisms, if you've got real ideas, if you've got any of that, please follow the link down there in the description and let them know how it is you think they can help. Till next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all those things that make me love my job. Also, be awesome to yourself and amazing to each other, even though I'm sick.